Hello, welcome back. My name is Ari. It's TBR time. So this is my Dungeons of Books TBR game. I roll a d20. It gives me a corresponding number. If it's an even number, then I have a tiebreaker. And then this helps me pick books. Let's fix the color balance, but I roll 5 rolls. If I roll this same number twice, we do doubles. There's also a problem here that will add a book. I've had really good luck with my TBR game the last 2 months, so I am due for a curse. And the more good months I have in a row, the more afraid I am of what's going to happen when that curse actually hits. Interrupting myself for a moment, I realized I forgot to talk about last month's books. So let's do that really quick. The first book that I was supposed to read was a 5-star prediction, or whatever I want, which I used to read my 5-star predictions, and that was The Buried Giant by Kazu Ishiguro. I read it. It was 5 stars. I predicted something right. Go team me. Next up was a 1, so the exact opposite of the 20 I just rolled, and I had to draw a book that I didn't want to read out of my Jar of Doom, which holds pins when it's not in use. Don't mind that. For that I pulled The Saddest Girl in the World by Kathy Glass. This, I did read the whole book and I gave it a 1 star. I hated it, but not for the reasons I thought I'd hate it. This is just problematic and very ableist, but it was published in 2007, so ableist things that we hate and we find problematic now weren't necessarily considered problematic in 2007. Still, don't recommend. Next up, I needed to read a horror book, and for this I read an ARC called The Between by Ryan Leslie. This book is kind of a mix of a text-based RPG from the early 90s and the House of Leaves. So really weird, but make it a video game. And it wasn't a bad book by any means, but not what I want in my horror. I needed more people to die because I'm dark like that. Next up, I did read The Wicker King by Angkrum. This was for the prompt a pretty cover, not color. I mean, it's a pretty color too, but the prompt was a pretty cover. And this is a very pretty cover. This is fucked up. I'm still processing this, but this was really fucked up. I'm thinking 4 stars. It didn't quite get 5 stars because it has a lot of tropes that I absolutely hate, but it was so good that it mostly overcame the tropes that I hate. And for the last roll, I needed to read a new release, and for that I read The Crown of Gilded Bones by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is book 3 in the Blood and Ash series, and this is trashy smut, trashy vampire smut, and I love every single moment of it. So let's just jump into it and get to the rolling. Roll number 1 is an 18. Which is add a book or skip a book, so we tie break. We got a 10, so I skip a book. No roll number 1. Roll number 1 was an 18, and since it's an even number, that means it's a tiebreaker. So anything 1 through 9 is the first prompt, and anything 10 through 20 is the second prompt. So I rolled an 18 and then a 10, which means I get to skip a book. So, okay. Next, roll number 2 is a 6. I think, yes, the dot's down there. That is a 6. Tiebreaker is a 15. Come on, focus. There we go. 15. Next roll was a 6, and again, even number. The tiebreaker was a 15, which means I need to read a book that is a standalone. For this, I'm going to kind of be a bad booktuber because I am going to read a book that's impossible to get because I really want to read it. So I am sorry about that. Sorry, not sorry. That is Satan Loves You by Grady Hendrix. Now, you can't find this book. If, like, it's not available as an ebook. I don't know why. I don't know if it's pulled off the shelves, if there was a publishing deal that went bad or something, but you cannot get it as an ebook. And if you look for physical copies like this, the ones that I see always run like $200 to $600, which is absurd. I happened to find this copy for $20, so I picked it up and got away with murder, but Satan Loves You by Grady Hendrix. Sorry for anybody else who wants to read this. Roll number 3 is a 15. Next up, I rolled a 15, which is a random letter generator, and so I am going to put up a screen recorded me generating a random letter, which I'm going to do right now, but you see the screen record. So here we go. It is a P. Let me find something that begins with the letter P. For the letter P, I'm going to read a new release, and that is A Psalm for the Wild Build by Becky Chambers. This is supposed to release on July 13th, and I have this pre-ordered. So I love Becky Chambers as an author. I 100% want the excuse to read this, and hey, a random letter generator is my excuse. Roll number 4 is a 4. Tiebreaker is a 14. Next I rolled a 4, and again an even number, so it's got a tiebreaker, and the tiebreaker gave us a classic. And for this one, I have like a list of classics that I kind of want to read, and I decided to go with The Woman in White, which is a horror classic, and I'm not really sure why I'm feeling like reading a horror classic in the middle of July, but it's the one that sounded the best right now, so that's what I'm reading. The Woman in White. Roll number 5 is a 19. And somehow I only ended up with 4 books this month. I'm so scared for when this goes south, because it's gonna go way south, and probably in a month that I don't want it to go south. Like, this was the month for shit to happen because I have like almost no plans for July. Ugh. Anyway, the final roll was a 19, and that is a book by a BIPOC author. So I'm gonna read a book by a shit ton of Black authors, and that is 400 Souls, which is a community history of African America from 1619 to 2019. And what this is a bunch of different Black authors get a few years chunk of history, and then they write the history for that chunk. And it's an anthology of just a ton of Black authors writing about American history, specifically the things that aren't like normally told in American history. And this is edited by Ibram X. Kennedy and Keisha Blaine, and I've read a book by Ibram X. Kennedy that I very much enjoyed, so this sounded right up my alley, and it was on sale. So that's what I'm reading. And that's it for my Dungeons and Books TBR, so let's get into the other part. My theme for the month is I don't have a theme. July is just an off month, just read whatever the fuck I want to, kind of take a break as necessary, chill out, a little bit of a reading vacation with very minimal plans. If I have things that I want to do in the month that don't really fit into other theme months, I can do them, or I can just chill. Chilling sounds fun. But I'm still participating in 2 different like monthly book clubs or book challenges or whatever. And the first one is the Buzzword-A-Thon. The buzzword this month is the word last. So read a book with the word last somewhere in the title. For that, I'm going to take the opportunity to start the Witcher series and read The Last Wish by Andrzej Sapowski. I think I said his last name right. I don't know. But this is the first book in the Witcher series. It's a collection of short stories. Sure. I've been wanting, I liked the video game, the Witcher video game. I enjoyed the Witcher TV show. It's got a great plot, if you know what I mean. And I'm looking forward to reading this. The other book club that I take part in is the Book Covered Book Club. And the theme for this month is white on the cover, and for this one I'm just gonna read The Woman in White. The book that I have, or the copy of this that I have, is from my library. I've already checked it out, and it is the cover that I'm showing you right here, which is an extremely all-white cover. It's not necessarily supposed to have the word white in the title, but we're just doubling down on this shit. So I'm going to read The Woman in White for Book Covered Book Club. That's really hard to say, and I think I just screwed it up anyway. That's it for this video. Let me know what you think about my TBR. Let me know what you think about my TBR game being so incredibly nice to me, and how terrifying this is going to be when it decides to be mean. And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!